Alright, folks, it's time. Clutch. If you've been living under a rock for the past 2 weeks, Clutch is an upcoming AAA open world arcade racing game spearheaded by Mike Brown of the recently formed Maverick Games. Mike Brown, for those who don't know, used to be creative director on Forza Horizon. He left Playground Games a few years ago, formed Maverick Games, and they've been working on Clutch for the past few years. It is a narrative-driven AAA racing game, and it includes both sanctioned racing, nighttime street racing, and it's story-driven. There's a big sort of corrupt criminal underworld storyline going on here. That's how I was able to perceive it based on the recent gameplay that just came out. And originally I kind of debated on making a video on my thoughts on Clutch, but after the gameplay dropped, I do have a few things I want to say. So first things first, you probably noticed on the screen right now that I'm not playing Clutch or even showing gameplay of it. I'm playing Need for Speed Carbon. The reason why there's a BMW 8 Series is because that car has already been confirmed for Clutch. They showed it in the first reveal trailer thing on the live stream a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, the gameplay itself without commentary and stuff has not been released for public use, editorial use policies and that. And I just think that showing the gameplay and having somebody's face cam on the screen is a little bit lazy, and I don't want to get into any sort of legal trouble because I don't know if this gameplay is allowed to be used legally. But what I will do is describe what's going on. I'll show screenshots of it, and I'll leave links in the description to my personal favorite videos talking about the gameplay that I've seen so far. And also, I chose the 8 Series for Need for Speed Carbon because as of yet, there is still no Aston Martin Valhalla or Porsche 911 SC. But we'll roll with it. Anyway, the gameplay shown off. Most of the gameplay, the longest bit of gameplay footage that they showed was the story mission. And it basically involves you and Emery, the character that's supposed to get you out of the sticky situation that you found yourself in. It involves you stealing an Aston Martin Valhalla. What I noticed is the car that you use to drive up to the location, which is the BMW 507, one of my favorite classic BMWs. And it's at this point I can tell you that Clutch will have over 150 cars at launch, and they will all be customizable. Unfortunately, we haven't seen any gameplay of the customization as of yet, but it is confirmed to be in the game. You can see all of the cars that are customized in the gameplay footage and things like that. So, for me, the most interesting thing about the story missions in the game is not the fact that they're there in the first place or the dialogue or what you have to do in them. It's the fact that you have legitimate on-foot sequences. Not just QuickTime events like Need for Speed The Run or some bullshit like that. No. On-foot sequences and puzzle solving. You have to figure out which button allows you to access the area where the car is, and you have to avoid security while looking for the car in a parking garage and things like that. That is really cool. It's something that a lot of racing games, I guess, didn't have the gall to try out so far. Technically, some recent racing games have had on-foot sequences. Test Drive Unlimited 2, for example, you could walk around the dealership and your garage. And then the Crew 2 also had something similar for the garage itself. But including on-foot sequences during the story missions is something that we haven't really seen before. Now, this bit of gameplay and the next bit of gameplay with the Ford Mustang Dark Horse also shows one of the most controversial aspects of Clutch: the grappling hook. So, obviously the grappling hook is meant to be used for story missions, yanking different things, attaching yourself to a helicopter, different things like that. But you can also use it to go around corners faster. You can shoot the grappling hook, you can drift around the corner without losing speed, and then you have to let go. Now, this has been really controversial, and the community has started completely writing off Clutch because of this. We'll get to that, don't worry. But, in my opinion, it does look a bit silly, frankly. The story missions, yes, okay, fine, makes sense, because it's, that type of plot line, but for free roam and stuff like that, I don't really find myself using this sort of thing. But according to Dustin Eden, who also got a chance to play the game, and I'm paraphrasing here, it's disabled in races, it's required for story missions, and in free roam it is entirely optional. Speaking of free roam, that's another thing we need to discuss: the location. Clutch does not take place in some fictionalized version of the United States or Japan or something. It takes place in Monaco and the French Riviera, and from what I heard, it is almost a one-to-one recreation of Monaco. That's really cool. I don't know that okay, there was Forza Horizon 2, admittedly, but this looks like a much more interesting recreation of both the French Riviera and Monaco. And there's an urban environment where you can cruise and drift and things like that. And it's a cool idea. Definitely, we don't really see a lot of racing games, especially ones like this, take place in Europe. So this is something cool to see, especially as a European. Moving further along, we also got like 5 seconds of gameplay of a police chase. And that was also a story mission because I don't know if you noticed the text on the screen. You're supposed to transport wine somewhere and, try not to damage your car too much while running from the police in an Aston Martin Vanquish. That is an incredibly European / James Bond type of mission, and I don't have any problems with that at all. That's really cool. Next up, we also have the sanctioned racing events. They take place on racetracks, and that's part of the story, is that the character that you play as, Theo Marshall, is a really fast, really successful race car driver. But for those of you who don't want to do, well, you'll probably have to do sanctioned racing to progress the story, but there's also nighttime street racing. You race for something called the Midnight Collective, and before we saw the gameplay, it just sounded a bit like, it's just an umbrella term for the street racing events. No! All of the street racing events are live streamed, and you have, and I haven't seen this since 2010, fan demands. The fans that are watching the stream of the race request you to do certain types of driving, and you get extra points for it, like Blur. I hated that feature in Blur because I sucked at the game, but that's cool. That's something interesting and unique and different, We also have to address the elephant in the room, which is the BMW M3 GTR. It's not the actual race car, it's a body kit, because in the gameplay you can clearly hear a 6-cylinder engine sound. But as Black Panther said, and again I'm paraphrasing, it's basically Maverick Games saying, hey, this is a nice little tribute thing because we were clearly inspired by Need for Speed, and since Need for Speed is nowhere to be seen since 2022, that's the last time we got a mainline release, it's a cool little thing. Why not? It's interesting. As far as the customization is concerned, well, we don't know about how many aftermarket parts there will be. I just know that there's a lot of options, like put a different drink in the cup holder, or put a hoodie on the passenger seat, which is incredibly relatable. And actual interior customization, licensed racing seats, licensed steering wheels, and blah blah, the list goes on. One thing I noticed myself personally is the traffic cars, because the selection of traffic cars is absolutely genius, and I sincerely hope that we'll be able to drive the traffic cars in the game, even if it's like a 100% completion bonus, because there's a first-gen Renault Twingo, one of the internet's all-time favorite cars. There's a recent Megane RS. There's a Mark I Ford Focus. And this one was blink and you'll miss it in the first trailer. There is a Fiat Multipla traffic car. First of all, I can't wait for the model rips for old racing game mods for that. But if we could drive the Multipla itself, that would be really cool. Anyway, from what I can remember, since I don't have the gameplay on the screen right now, that was basically all they showed. They showed a little bit of sanctioned racing gameplay, a little bit of street racing, 3 seconds total of a police chase, and most of it was the story missions, and a little bit of free roam as well. So what do I think of Clutch? It looks really damn good. Yeah, I really do think that. It looks really freaking good. First of all, the art style and the graphics are amazing. It looks so impressive, and it does. I know they're not going for a specific type of art style like cell shading or anything like that, but it already is carving out its own visual identity, and that's really important in the world of racing games, because otherwise we'll just be stuck in a loop of everything looking like Forza Horizon. Secondly, I have no idea what the driving physics are actually like because I haven't played the game. Are you listening, community? Yeah. If in case you forgot, you can't judge the physics if you haven't played the game. People have described the physics, but basically they are sort of incorporating a little more Simcade type of physics model. And from what I can see in the video, the cars look like they are satisfying to drive. And according to Dustin Eden, again, paraphrasing, it's not, brake to drift and all very straightforward and makes you feel like a driving god. It is a little bit more involved than that. You do have to judge when the car's about to lose it, and you have to recover, and you have to, show a little bit of skill. And that includes the grappling hook. You have to swing yourself around using the controller. It's not an automatic thing, and you have to know exactly when to release the grappling hook. And I'm really glad that they made that into an actual, physics-based thing and testing the player's skills, and not just, an automatic thing like those god-awful Forza Street type games on the App Store. But overall, I do think that Clutch looks really freaking good. And it looks like it's going to be a very fun game. I especially love the UI. The UI is excellent. It's a little bit difficult to see, people have said that, and I agree, especially the revs on the tachometer, but, you know, the game is going to release in spring of 27. We still got a year for them to figure out all the kinks. The only actually concerning thing about Clutch, I'm not going to, you know, waste your time with and title the video with Clutch has a really big problem. No, it doesn't. The issue is finding a publisher, because Amazon Games bailed on Maverick before it was revealed. Luckily, they were able to keep the game and continue making it. They just gotta find a publisher. The other problem is not to do with Clutch itself at all. Yes, we arrived at that point in the video. The problem with Clutch right now is the community's response to the game. I've looked at a few comment sections on the gameplay videos so far. On YouTube, they're actually pretty, you know, open to the idea, and they think it looks cool. But then you go to Instagram, and everyone's freaking miserable. I'm not buying the game, it has a grappling hook, and it looks like Forza Horizon, and we need Need for Speed Underground 2 Remastered. Yeah, they pulled that one as well. And blah, 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 blah. You can like what you want to like. There's nothing wrong with that, you know, everything's subjective. But I would like to urge all of the skeptics about Clutch to give the game... No, wait, I don't mean that, do I? No, here's what I have to say to the community. Go back to Forza Horizon and keep commenting, we want Underground 2 Remastered on every single freaking Need for Speed video that you watch. We don't need you here, Clutch was not made for you. If it's that difficult for you to move on, then don't. Don't ruin comment sections with your ideas of what a racing game should be, that because you haven't moved on. Let people be excited about Clutch, okay? Thank you. So, yeah, I spent most of this video describing the gameplay to you, but I truly think that Clutch is looking good, and I don't think people also realize how important Clutch actually is. Because it is the first new AAA racing game IP that's open world, you know, AAA arcade racer, for 12 years. No, sorry, 13 years. The last time we got a new racing game IP, a brand new one, was The Crew when it was announced back in 2013. And since then, arcade racing game fans who want a AAA experience have been stuck with Forza Horizon, Need for Speed, and The Crew. And if you know anything about racing games, you'll know that the 2010s were a dark time to be fans of all three of those franchises. So now that Need for Speed it's not cancelled. It's not cancelled, don't even think about saying that. But Need for Speed has been absent for quite a while. The Crew Motorfest is still going, it's still a live service game. And for the first time in 13 freaking years, we have a new racing game IP to get excited about, with licensed cars and police chases, customization, and different things like that. I am personally really looking forward to Clutch, and I can't wait to get behind the wheel. Who knows, maybe if this video takes off, I'll get a review copy or something. But good job, Maverick Games. I can't wait to see what the future holds for Clutch. I will be watching very closely. And that's going to be about it for this video, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, be sure to hit like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think of Clutch in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.